So the Democrats want open borders. Let everybody come in. We're not going to let it happen. Today, I signed an executive order. We're going to keep families together, but the border is going to be just as tough.
The president has the right position, which is, yes, we want to keep children with their families, but we also want to control the border.
Peter Fonda, he had an offensive tweet like you would not believe.
We should rip Barron Trump, that's the president's son, from his mother's arms and put him in a cage.
Trump rallies, the one that you attended last night, they are a beacon of free speech. Why do you say that?
Being at the rally, being able to see other people with like-mindedness like us, we can finally say what we want.
Is there anything more fun than a Trump rally? Is there, sir?
Welcome to our hometown, live from New York City, Midtown Manhattan. It's Fox and Friends for hour 3 of this very busy Thursday. Great to have you. It is officially the first day of spring. It happened in the 6 o'clock hour.
That's right.
Summer, that is to say.
Week is flying by. Tomorrow we have Leonard Skinner for our summer concert series. So if you're in the area, please come over and say hey.
You know, it was 4 years ago when Suits with Shorts was thought was going to catch fire.
Yeah.
Remember that? Do you think...
You thought that was going to be popular?
I thought it was going to be popular. There was so many.
Well,
they were all on
you
sale.
invested your life savings in that. That was sad.
Absolutely. And I also have so many bell-bottoms left from the 70s. I thought they were going to come back. Haven't yet. Do you think there'll be suits with shorts and short sleeves? Do you think that'll ever happen?
Terrible.
Could that be
I
something?
think that is just called shorts with a short sleeve shirt.
You mean,
essentially is
you mean
Right.
weekend
That's
wear?
called golfing wear.
Put it this way, a lot of fashion people watch our show. This could be your entree.
Do you like those button-down shirts that are short sleeve?
Yeah. Should I not?
I don't like them.
Oh, really?
Do you like them, Steve?
the button-down collar?
Yes, like a collared shirt like that.
short sleeve.
Yeah. Write us and let us know if you like them.
I have some of those from, you know.
They're terrible.
I know a lot of women don't like them on men.
Listen, when I was working in Kansas, I had to wear them all the time. It was very hot and arid out there.
It makes sense. I don't know why I don't like them, but I just made that decision a long time ago, and I'm sticking with it.
Write her down for that.
Speaking of writing down, I saw that video of the president signing that executive order yesterday. You had the media, the left, they were up in arms about, everyone actually was up in arms about parents being separated from their kids. That bill right there that he's signing, or that executive order that he's signing, is now going to allow the parents and the kids to be together.
Right. Nobody likes to see children separated from their parents, and the president had said he had no choice but to separate them. So it's a rare reversal with that executive order. He will continue, though, and this is important, his zero tolerance policy continues. In other words, if you try to come in the country illegally, you are going to be prosecuted. If you bring children in, they're going to try to, according to this, keep the family together. They also, because the court ruling was you can't keep kids past 20 days, they're going to try to expedite the situation to get things heard faster. And the Pentagon is now involved because they're looking for, I think, 4 different facilities, 2 in Texas, 1 in New Mexico, and 1 in Arkansas, to handle all these people, to get them into the system, get them adjudicated, and figure out whether or not they get to stay or have to go.
And here's the problem. All these countries are terrible. This Ecuador and Nicaragua is a mess. Mexico's being run by cartels. So these people say, where do I go? I'm going to go to America. So they're flooding our borders. So this is a problem. It's really not, nobody's fault in America. It's these failed governments. And the question is, long term, would it be worthy of our investment to go in there and start saying, you got to set up a capitalist system. You got to give some sense of a democratic system.
The president says, Brian just says, you know what, those countries that aren't helping, we're going to cut off the aid.
Right, but it could make things even worse.
So House members are meeting today. They're going to try to pass 2 immigration bills, one's with the wall, one's with the separation issue. We'll keep you posted on that. But Newt Gingrich was on with us earlier, and he says that Democrats, the reason, we all thought that they would support, when the president is signing that executive order, that everyone would just be, oh, that's wonderful. That's what everyone in the country wants. But that's not what's happening. If you watch some other channels, they're completely up in arms about what the president has done, and they don't support this. And Newt Gingrich says Democrats just can't get behind anything that President Trump does, even though they were for what he believes in years ago. Listen.
I think it hurt him briefly. I think he figured out that there was not a sustainable policy. He signed an executive order. Oddly enough, The very Democrats who wanted him to act came back immediately and didn't like the fact that he acted. But the president has the right position, which is, yes, we want to keep children with their families, but we also want to control the border. The Democrats want to use the children as an excuse to go to an open border where tens of millions of people could flood into the U.S.
By the way, if you listen to the chants on Kirstjen Nielsen, the Homeland Security Secretary who was eating dinner and got screamed at, and the manager of that restaurant thought it was a good thing, by the way, which is terrible. They were chanting open borders, basically let everybody in. Right. So what kind of country do we have if everyone can come in and out and everybody's, some people pay taxes and some people don't?
It's not a country. Anyone's welcome to go in and out. I don't think that would be the definition of a country.
But there's no question. This has been on the books since May 5th. Senator Sessions, Attorney General Sessions said no more tolerance. We're going to have to break up the families to send a message to other countries not to send their people here. And Newt Gingrich brought up, as we just showed you, that, for politically, Ronald Reagan would have understood instantly that crying children on TV is bad, and the president has solved the problem in the short term. Long-term answers could start today about 1 o'clock. There'll be 2 votes on 2 bills to reform immigration. Let's see if Democrats get involved.
Well, we all know there's a problem at our southern border, no doubt about it. And for the president, with this rare reversal, signing this executive order, it's unusual for him to have done that, given that he was so dug in. And he had so much momentum going with North Korea and the economy. And last night in Duluth, he reminded people about that.
As your president, I will always fight to protect American families. The Democrats want open borders. Let everybody come in. We're not going to let it happen. I signed an executive order. We're going to keep families together, but the border is going to be just as tough as it's been. The greatest phrase, I think, in the history of politics, make America great again, and that's exactly what we're doing. Unemployment numbers are among the best in the history of our country. We just secured a record $700 billion in funding to rebuild our military. We've cut more regulations in 500 days than any president. By the way, is there anything more fun than a Trump rally?
Yeah, you knew these were guys who were all on board in Duluth when they were chanting Space Force. The president brought up, hey, listen, I want to get a Space Force to join our Air Force, our Army and Marines, and our Navy. And by the way, they were chanting Space Force. I never thought I would hear it in my lifetime.
Space Force. Many of y'all are writing in because some of you were at the rally or watched the rally. This is from Dell. Dell says, I have said all along, if President Trump found a cure for cancer, the left would find a reason to make that wrong.
Palmetta tweeted, he is the people's president. We love hearing directly from him. No filters. Thanks for making America great again.
And by the way, the economy surging by almost all accounts. To the point is, they do think that for this quarter, we could now have 5% growth when we weren't touching a 3. A lot of it was set up after the fall. The recovery was slow. It is on turbo speed to the point where even the New York Times headline talks about the trade war that we're in with the European Union, with Canada, with Mexico, and with China. We're actually poised to win it, possibly win it, because our economy is so much stronger than everybody else's. So if they have a plan and they do want to rebalance trade, we actually have the economic firepower to survive and thrive.
We're going to talk to Stuart Varney about the economy coming up in the next segment. But right now, let's talk a little bit about what was Peter Fonda, the son of Henry Fonda, the brother of Jane Fonda, thinking when he sent out a tweet that was so inappropriate. It's long, it's disgusting. He took it down. He has apologized. And now apparently Melania Trump called the Secret Service on him and his tweet, and we don't know what they're doing with it.
And wouldn't you? He threatens he should be taken from you, caged, and put in with pedophiles.
Well, I guess.
Wow, talking about her son, about President Trump's son, Barron.
He also tweeted out, we should hack the system, get addresses of ICE agents, surround their homes, find out what schools their kids go to, and surround the schools. He took that tweet down, too.
All right.
I mean, who even thinks that way? If you read the whole tweet, it's very disgusting and disturbing, and you just think, who has thoughts like that about children? And it's just really disturbing.
Melania's spokesperson said it was sick and irresponsible.
Well, and what if an actor said that about President Obama's girls? They would be annihilated. The networks, the main networks, CBS, NBC, ABC, they didn't even cover it at all.
Yeah, and it's amazing that Don Jr. came back and said, hey, Sony, you're about to do a movie with Peter Fonda. Are you going to release it? Or are you going to, why don't you get rid of him like they got rid of Roseanne Barr for her ridiculous comments?
Sony came out with a statement early today and said they are standing by the movie. He has a small part, they say, and it's going to open in 5 theaters tomorrow.
And he did apologize.
He did apologize.
He did.
Right, and I think it's also important, you talk about the relationship with famous people, former brother-in-law of Ted Turner.
Yes, he mentioned that earlier.
Brother-in-law of Ted Turner?
I did in a conversation downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh, downstairs?
No, in this segment. Anyway.
I don't think so. No.
We're going to look at the transcript.
You said Jane Fonda's brother.
I did.
Yes.
You're absolutely
Okay, let's hand it over.
But not the brother-in-law of Ted Turner.
This is true.
No.
All right, Jillian, take it away, please.
I'm sorry, guys.
End this conversation.
Good morning to you. Let's get you caught up, starting with the Fox News alert right now. Police arresting the wife of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Sarah Netanyahu is charged with fraud and breach of trust. She's accused of misusing over $100,000 in official funds for catering services. Meantime, Prime Minister Netanyahu faces investigations into alleged corruption. He denies any wrongdoing and calls the allegations against him and his wife a media witch hunt. President Trump is taking steps to shrink the swamp, a senior official telling Fox News. A government reform plan will be discussed this morning for a way to consolidate the government. Of the proposed ideas is to merge the labor and education departments. If approved by Congress, it would be a step toward the administration's effort to decrease the federal workforce. Millions are under the threat of severe weather as flash flooding wreaks havoc in Pennsylvania.
Oh my God, dude. I cannot even believe this right now.
It's not every day you see that. Incredible video showing a car being swept away outside Pittsburgh. And look at this in the Midwest. Tornadoes touching down, several twisters reported in Iowa. More storms are on the way today. And check this out, a Milwaukee Brewers coach turning a rain-soaked baseball field into his own personal water park. Bullpen coach Marcus Hanel diving onto a tarp, turning it into a makeshift slip and slide, clearly making the most of a rain delay during the Brewers-Pirates game. I mean, heck, why not? You're there, right? Have a little fun with it.
That's great.
I know.
As long as nobody got hurt.
So immature. There's no place for that in sports.
Oh, you're so PC.
Y'all never, you
They're
boys,
playing a game.
the guys never grow up, do they?
No.
Yeah.
Right, especially Stuart Varney.
All right. Meanwhile, straight ahead on our Thursday telecast, she lied about the Benghazi attacks on 5 different Sunday shows. Now there's a brand new bombshell this morning involving Susan Rice. We'll tell you about it.
Plus, it has been 6 months since President Trump signed those historic tax cuts, and House Speaker Paul Ryan says it has greatly improved American lives. But what does Stuart Varney says? Will he ever grow up?
Hello, Stuart.
Buy all of the things I never had. I wanna be on the cover of Forbes.
Tomorrow will mark exactly 6 months to the day that President Trump signed those historic tax cuts.
House Speaker Paul Ryan reflecting in a new op-ed that, quote, tax reform is about building a more confident America, and it's off to a fast start. There is certainly more work to be done, but tax reform has opened the door to new possibilities and opportunities for families. It has improved people's lives.
Steve, keep reading. Stuart doesn't want me to ask the first question.
All right, Stuart Varney joins us live right now. Stuart, you know, there is no doubt that the economy is doing well, less regulations and stuff like that. And yet the media are ignoring this big story.
The media is ignoring deliberately President Trump's success. If you read the headlines or you watch the evening news today or yesterday or this week at all, it's trade war, it's children in cages. The real big story that affects everybody in America is the success of the president's tax cut package and what it's done for our economy. Before you break in, Brian, let me tell you this. 1 million new jobs created in the 6 months since we passed tax reform. Wages rising at the fastest fastest pace in 9 years. 401k retirement programs looking very strong. 50 million people have a 401k, and we've got near 4% growth. All of this is because 6 months ago we passed a tax cut package on top of deregulation, and we're now well on the way to prosperity.
And
the media does not want you to know this and will not cover it.
And there could be a phase 2 to that. And I'll add to that, there are some projections from the Atlanta Fed and others that we could grow as fast as 5% for a quarter, which is unbelievable.
It is.
That goes past what everyone thought. Now, we're in the middle of a trade war, but our growth is mirrored by the people we're fighting with are Europe, China, Japan, and elsewhere. They're in a slump. We are raging. We're white hot. So I'm asking you, are we poised to rebalance trade like never before?
Yes, if things go according to plan, if the negotiations are successful. What's your point?
China is going to attack our stock market because they're out of goods to tariff. Does that concern you?
Wait a second. 2 days ago, President Trump threatened 10% tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese exports to the United States. We were all waiting to see what China would do about it. We're still waiting. 2 days gone, and we don't yet have a response from China. So it's not the tit-for-tat war that you might imply.
Right.
It's an ongoing negotiation. It is an ongoing dispute.
July
Now,
6th.
Stuart, if people at home are watching and they know that their paychecks are higher, they got a job, they weren't able to get a job a few years ago, and then you watch the mainstream media and they're not reporting that, what's their reason? They just don't want to support anything that this president is accomplishing?
Look, if the November election is fought on the basis of economic performance, if that's the basis for the election in November, Trump wins, the GOP wins. The media does not want that to happen, so they will suppress the good news on the economy and promote children in cages or trade war or whatever it is.
So obvious.
Anything but the return to prosperity. That's where we are, I'm afraid.
Those are all good, important topics, but to the exclusion of the other news, that's a problem.
Look, the most important story today in America, this is my opinion, is the return to prosperity and the performance of the economy. There's nothing boring about money. Maybe it's boring to some people, but it's not boring to me, and it's not boring to most of America.
You do a 3-hour show about it with the news. All right. Stuart, thank you very much. We're going to be watching your show.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much indeed, Brian.
All right, coming up straight ahead, you know him as Superman.
Oh, one more thing. If you ever need to find me, all you have to do is look up.
Okay, in the next super segment, Dean Cain is trading in his cape to become a cop.
Some quick headlines for you. Trouble with schools edition. The war on free speech now hitting Canada. Several students at the University of British Columbia protesting Ben Shapiro's upcoming campus visit.
Let's be clear, Shapiro is not welcome here.
Students say his appearance violates the school's human rights code. According to the school's paper, he is the club's most requested speaker. And a college professor says learning math causes collateral damage. Paul Ernest of University of Exeter in the UK making the claim in a new textbook. He says that math can detach people from human and social issues since it uses calculative reasoning. And a Virginia school district is ditching class rank. Why? Because students are getting too competitive. Instead, the Montgomery School District will honor education achievements in 3 different categories. The changes start next year.
Okay, meanwhile, you know him best as Superman, but our friend Dean Cain is hanging up his cape for a police badge.
So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations. Thank you.
He will now fight crime as a reserve officer for the St. Anthony, Idaho Police Department.
Joining us right now in his brand new uniform, actor Dean Cain. Dean,
look at that.
Wow, look at you. What prompted this?
Well, yeah, I've had a tremendous respect for law enforcement and for military and first responders. My whole life, my grandfather was a commander in the Navy. My uncle was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. And I haven't served, and I had an opportunity to do so and actually help kids at the same time. So I jumped at the chance and put on the badge.
Are you from Idaho? Because we know you as Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm not from Idaho. Eric Estrada actually started working with St. Anthony's Police Department about 2 years ago, and he started a task force. He's a good friend of mine, and I had an opportunity to join up Chief Harris out there,
right.
And Darrell Williams, a good friend of mine. They said, you know, you want to come into this and be a part of this, you're welcome to. You got to come on up and do a bunch of stuff, but I was quite happy to do so, and really want to help out kids a lot with, you know, bullying, online bullying, suicide prevention, things like that. It's a big issue up there and around the nation.
Dean, the big question is, though, are you going to have time to get there? I mean, you're doing movies, you're filling in on the Today Show, you're one of our favorite guests. How are you going to do that?
He flies, Ryan.
I fly a lot. I really wish I could fly. That's the thing I always say. If I had any superpower, that would be the one, because I spend so much time in the air.
Right.
You know, listen, it's wonderful to be able to do all these things. I'm having a great time doing. I've done 4 movies this year. I got 2 more scheduled to shoot. I got 3 or 4 coming out real soon, and I enjoy doing this. It doesn't take up a huge amount of my time. I can do a lot of work from here, and I really enjoy the work. And so, yeah, I have enough time. I can make enough time to do all this stuff.
Right.
Absolutely.
And Dean, you say something we've heard you say when you've co-hosted Fox and Friends, and that is real heroes don't wear capes.
It's a good saying, isn't it? It's true, though. Really, the truth of the matter is, the more I know these law enforcement officers, the more I know people in the military, they're such humble, good people. Now, of course, you can have some bad apples here and there in any group. I mean, even there at the Fox and Friends set, there may be one bad apple somewhere in the bunch. That happens anywhere you are. I know as a football player, we had a couple bad apples. It's not Ainsley. No way. But, you know, that can happen. And one of the things also that's important to me is law enforcement is under a lot of attack right now. They're getting a lot of heat in our country. And, you know, when you're in trouble, who do you call? You call the police. It's the first thing you do. So I'm hoping to be able to help, you know, sort of blur that line a little bit and bring the community and the men and women in blue a little bit closer.
You know,
so instead of like going against the cops, I'm actually joining up.
We were talking to an officer, I remember at the convention in Philadelphia, and he said he takes his uniform off now when he leaves the building because he's so nervous. He's a father, and he and his wife have decided to take the uniform off because they're so scared that someone who is anti-police is going to do something awful. Do you ever worry about that?
Well, that's just the point. Is instead of just kind of staying quiet about it, I did the exact opposite. I joined up and I put on the uniform.
Well, you know, you've played so many characters in make-believe land, but now you got to be proud. You are a real reserve officer. You've got a real badge, Superman.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But, you know, the more I learn, the more humbled I become. These guys do such incredible work, and they work so hard, and they don't get paid that well, you know, and so they're really impressive people, and they have absolutely got my respect.
All right, Dean, thanks so much. Great job.
You're a hero. Thank you, Dean.
Guys,
great to see you. Well, she lied about the Benghazi attacks on 5 different Sunday shows, and now there is a brand new bombshell this morning involving Susan Rice.
You're going to want to hear that. And Todd Pyro having breakfast with friends live in Minnesota, not far from where the president was last night. Todd?
Hey, good morning, everybody. We're going to talk immigration. We're going to talk the economy. But while I saw a veteran, I wanted to talk to him. This is Matt, and his hat says Air Force, but you know what? He was a member of the Air Force and the Navy. Let's give that a round of applause. But let's also give a round of applause to his lovely, beautiful wife, Judy. She was a teacher. These guys are the American Dream. We're going to talk more about the American Dream right after this.
It's a park.
We talk about the forgotten men and women. They're the smartest people. They work the hardest. They pay taxes. They do all of the things. And yet they were the forgotten people. And believe me, our people are the smartest and the hardest working. Smarter than anybody and the hardest working. A little thing I was talking about today. You ever notice they always call the other side, and they do this up, the elite. The elite. Why are they elite? I have a much better apartment than they do. I'm smarter than they are. I'm richer than they are. I became president and they didn't. And I'm representing the greatest, smartest, most loyal, best people on earth, the deplorables.
Well, look at thousands of the deplorables were in attendance last night, and we do believe some of the people who were there last night may actually be at a diner about a mile away this morning.
Right, and I do believe he's 100% correct. His apartment is nicer than all the elites.
I've been in it. Wow. It overlooks, Todd, it overlooks Central Park. The best backyard view I've ever seen. Todd, where are you?
I am at Uncle Louie's Cafe here in the great town or city of Duluth, Minnesota. And I got to tell you, the opinions that we're seeing today are diverse. They're robust. So we're going to get right to it. We're going to start with Pat, retired heavy equipment operator, who says President Trump is the #1 president he has ever seen. Why?
Well, just the multitude of things he's done since he's been in office. If you go online and look, there's at least 120 things in the little over 500 days that he's done that have bettered this country that should have been taken care of for decades, and nothing was done with. I don't care whether it's immigration or the economy or this drug problem or what it is. He's worked on things that five decades of presidents and politicians have totally ignored, and nothing was ever done until Donald Trump.
I want to get your take on immigration.
I feel deeply sorry for them people down there, but I do believe America just can't take everybody from the world that has problems in their own nations. These other 1.5 million men have died for this, men and women have died for this nation to make it what it is today. And we can't just give it away. Other people have to straighten out their nation so they're livable.
Pat, thank you for your time. Mike, I'm guessing, disagrees with you. Mike is a progressive Democrat. He organized the Unity rally outside the arena last night, and Mike is an advocate for open borders. Why?
Well, America's a nation of immigrants, and I think we should really be welcoming of all people here. I'm from Duluth myself. We had thousands of people come out to the Unity rally yesterday, and we marched and we said, no hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. Like I said, we're a nation of immigrants. We should be welcoming of immigrants, refugees, people that are trying to find a home. The people, the tribes, the tribal nations that were here first were also present at our rally yesterday, and they are the true Americans, I think. So,
are you glad that the president signed that executive order to keep families together yesterday?
I'm glad, but I do think it was his problem in the first place. It was the Republicans' problem in the first place. He did try and put it on Democrats, but all in all, I do think that it was a good thing that happened. I just don't think that it really, he made it seem like he solved something, but it was a problem that he created.
Mike, Pat, thank you very much. And let's give them a round of applause for being civil. That's what we need in this great country of ours. Lori, you're a mom and a grandmom. What's your take on immigration?
My take as a grandmother and a mother is that I love this country, and I want my children and grandchildren to grow up in a great country like I've been able to grow up in. I think our country was built on immigration. We want to welcome immigrants, but in a legal way. And if we don't like the laws, there are ways that laws can be changed, but we need to follow what we have now.
Lori, thank you. I'm going to go to Keith now. Keith, we're going to talk the economy with you, and I want you to tell me about Nancy Pelosi's crumbs.
Nancy's crumbs equate to $40 a week for me, at least. And for me, that means that things are more affordable. I don't have to stress my economy so much, and I have more to share with my kids and my grandkids.
Exactly what do you use that $40 for? In other words, how does it better your life?
Well, it helps me to pay my gas to get to work. It helps me to put food on my table, and it helps me to help my kids and grandkids in their struggle.
So I'm going to assume you would rather have that money in your pocket than giving it to the federal government.
I believe that we all need and should make better decisions about our own money. Yes.
All right. I want to thank everybody at Uncle Louie's here. What an amazing day. What I love so much is that we did have a diversity of opinion. Everybody tolerated each other's opinions. They may not agree, but everybody was great, supportive of one another. Just an amazing, uplifting American day here in Duluth. Back to you in the great city of New York. See you all tomorrow morning.
All right, Todd, thank you very
Todd.
much. And it's great that he goes out and talks to the folks at the diners, like the guy behind him. He's got 40 extra bucks in his pocket every week, and he feels it. He feels it in a real way.
Yeah, that's a few meals for your family. All right, let's hand it over to Jillian, who has some headlines for us.
That's very good Thursday morning. Let's get you caught up, starting with this. Former President Barack Obama's cyber chief confirming that he was told to stand down in response to Russian meddling.
But as far as your cyber response, you were told to stand down. Is that correct?
We were, those actions were put on the back burner, yes.
That order coming directly from then National Security Advisor Susan Rice. Michael Daniels said he recommended a full range of actions to, quote, impose costs on the Russians, but those offers weren't accepted. A man is hailed a hero after tackling a violent suspect who was attacking a cop. Patrick Boom was on his way home in Indiana when he saw the brawl along the side of the road. He jumped into action when the suspect tried to grab the officer's gun, but he says he is no hero.
I just ran in there and did what anybody should do. The cops that go out in the street every day, the military that goes overseas and fights for us, for freedom. That's what I define as hero.
Baum was awarded by police for his bravery. Several civil rights groups are calling on the NFL to change the new anthem policy. In a letter to Commissioner Roger Goodell, the group writes, quote, "It is disappointing that a league built on grit and competition lacks the Constitution to stomach a call for basic equality and fairness. The new rule requires players to stand or stay in the locker room during the anthem. Several players have kneeled before games to protest racial inequality." People are shelling out $38 on bottles of hot dog water. The bizarre sale at a street festival in Vancouver. It's advertised to promote weight loss and make you look younger. Sounds too good to be true, right? Yeah, that's because it is. Turns out it was all a stunt set up to prove that folks will buy just about anything. It sounds disgusting if you ask me. Sorry.
Hot dog water.
Yes, it sounds
That
horrible.
is so gross.
I know.
It reminds me of those Vienna sausages. You'd open the can and all that water in there. Imagine drinking that.
Look at that,
Yeah.
$38. You can have
Happy
your own bottle.
breakfast time.
Janice Dean would never drink hot dog water. Am I right?
I'm sure I have at one point. Look at these amazing people that have come out to see Fox and Friends right here. Look, come on over here. We want to say hi to. Who do you want to say hi to?
My grandparents, me and Papa.
And they watch Fox all the time?
Every morning.
All right, all right. Thank you from Florida. And we have a birthday over here. How old are you today?
13.
Nice. Where are you guys from?
Florida.
What's your name?
Liliana.
And happy first day of summer. Are you guys ready for some ice cream? Yes, we're going to have ice cream from Dairy Queen. First of all, let's take a look at the maps. It feels a little cool out here in the Northeast. That's because we have this cold front that's moving through. The potential for a little bit of heavy rain across the Ohio Valley, Texas, and Louisiana, where they've seen an incredible amount of rain over the last couple of days. So we're going to watch the potential for flooding in this area. And of course, know what to do if there's a watch or warning. Now, there is your forecast today. It's going to be hot, hot, hot across the south, across the southeast, and the southwest. Wave to everyone at home. Happy first day of summer. Thank you. Look at these beautiful people that came to see us on Fox and Friends.
Very nice.
That crowd is getting bigger every single day.
You know why?
here.
Because she just gave the blizzard warning. She's got ice cream from Dairy Queen coming up in
so
10 minutes
good.
out there.
They're
All
great.
right. Meanwhile, straight ahead, Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach is vowing to fight back after a judge decided voters in that state don't have to prove citizenship to vote. He will respond live next with Brian.
And what's the process for immigrant families seeking asylum the legal way? Griff Jenkins is going to give us a firsthand look from the border next.
Clap along if you feel Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
Hope you're having a good morning so far. Some quick headlines that are out of this world. NASA going on the defense to protect Earth from asteroids. The new plan consists of 5 goals, including enhancing detection capabilities and developing new technologies to help prevent disasters. NASA is watching several asteroids that could cause catastrophic damage, but not in our lifetime, so rest easy. Plus, it's National Selfie Day, and take a look at this. The NASA rover Curiosity snapping photos of itself during a massive dust storm on Mars. Scientists creating this image by putting several photos together. That storm could last several weeks, and that's the best selfie ever. Brian?
All right, Jillian, President Trump signing an executive order yesterday allowing children to stay with their parents at detention centers after a national outcry to stop the family separation at the border that took place and affected about 2,300 kids. Moments ago, the president tweeted this: "The border has been a big mess for many years, and at some point, Schumer and Pelosi, our weak on border crime and border security, will be forced to do a real deal so easy that solves this long-time problem. Schumer used to want border security. Now he'll take crime." Chris Kobach helped draft the president's original immigration plan. He also is a candidate for Kansas governor and Kansas's Secretary of State. Chris Kobach joins us now. Chris, the president's executive order, it could run into a roadblock with a 1997 law. But do you like what he did?
Yeah, the president's executive order is a masterful move, Brian, because what he does is he keeps the zero tolerance policy in place. And that's the policy of we either deport or prosecute every illegal alien encountered. But he also ends the separation of families by allowing the entire family to be detained. And he outsmarted the Democrats on this one because they were presenting a false choice. They were saying, well, the only way to avoid separating families is to return to the Obama policy of just letting them go, catch and release. And that was basically, if you come with a child in tow, you get released, you won't be detained. I think it's a great move.
I just don't know what people expect to do. There's a surge from other countries at our border. We're trying to put them in the best conditions possible. Now families can stay together. Do they actually want these families to be allowed in? What do we say about the legal immigration system? Those idiots in Europe or anywhere else that are waiting in line, doing it right.
Well, and I think Pelosi is showing her true colors now. She's saying that, well, this new executive order is not good enough. She wants the families to be released. She doesn't even want the family kept together in custody. But you're absolutely right. We have a situation where you have to send the message to these countries, principally in Central America, that are sending the children that, hey, things have changed. You're not going to be handed a get-out-of-jail-free card. And remember, the bad incentive that the Obama administration was sending was, okay, there's a new policy. If you bring kids, we're not going to detain you or the children. Now we're sending the right message south.
Chris, we have a little bit of news. A judge, it's not good news for you. Judge tosses Kansas proof of citizenship voter law. So get this, if you bring you wanted people to have to bring ID to vote, and this judge says, no, you don't have to.
So our law says you have to prove citizenship when you register, and this opinion is a very extreme one, which I think will not stand on appeal. She basically takes a position I'm not aware of any other federal judge in America taking, that it is unconstitutional for a state to require proof of citizenship. Even the Ninth Circuit, the liberal Ninth Circuit, rejected that argument 10 years ago. So I'm pretty confident that on appeal the state of Kansas will prevail.
Yeah, there are laws that are hard to figure out. This was not one of them, but they got it wrong, it seems. Chris Kobach, thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right, straight ahead. What is the process for families seeking asylum the legal way? Drift Jenkins gives us a first-hand look from the border. That's next.
We are waiting on votes on two different immigration bills as President Trump signs an executive order stopping families from being separated at the border. So what is next? Big lineup today. Our A-team is ready, along with Judge Michael Mukasey, Art Laffer, John Thune, Texas AG Ken Paxton, and more. Join us in moments on America's Newsroom.
Meanwhile, President Trump signed an executive order ending the family separations at our southern border.
But what does the process look like for families seeking asylum the legal way? Griff Jenkins has a behind-the-scenes look from the U.S.-Mexico border.
Right now, we're located at the Hidalgo Port of Entry, and this is our pedestrian walkway.
We're in the middle of the bridge. Mexico's there, the U.S. is there. Whether you are an American citizen coming back from a visit or you are a citizen of a Central American country that intends to flee persecution, they would all come this way. This is the first place where an asylum seeker would come and encounter a CBP officer.
Yes, sir. They're going to make their claim that they're seeking asylum, and at that point, we'll go ahead and start the asylum process.
That's the beginning of the legal way to seek asylum.
Absolutely, sir.
As these people come through, can we go into the asylum room?
Sure. The traveler will come in here, and this is an area that we've set aside for any asylum seeker. We'll do an inventory of what they're bringing in with them, and then we'll apply some bracelets on them to see if it's an unaccompanied child, if it's a family unit, or some other type of claim. Because once from here, we're going to go back into the offices where they're going to be doing the interview with a CBP officer.
During this process, at any point, are family members separated?
No, sir. Normally, family units are not separated at a port of entry. We will look at criminal history. We will look at the totality of the case, and we're going to go ahead and process accordingly.
There is a claim that there's lengthy delays, and so you should just go illegally as opposed to come through the legal asylum process. What do you say?
So the asylum process is there. It's something that any individual that deems to use that claim, they can use it. This is a 24-hour operation, 7 days a week. Our bridge is open, and if they come and make a claim of asylum, we're certainly going to process it.
So in the last 2 days, Griff has shown us how people try to come in the illegal way, and today, the asylum way.
Right, the port of entry.
All right, we're going to step aside. Blizzard warning, ice cream on the plaza next.
Yum.